So thank you for having me here today to talk with you about this such an exciting topic. And you know, millennials are probably the most discussed generation ever. In every single conference, in every single conference, marketing conference, business conference, even government talk a lot about the millennials. But the reason why I really feel this to be an exciting topic is because we do not understand nothing about this generation, right? And we have it, you know, we have them with us. They could be our colleagues, probably. I don't know how many of you are millennial, and I tell you guys, being millennial is not an emotional kind of mood. It's just, you know, demographics. So, but they are, you know, they are within us. They are our consumers first, as previously said. They are our colleagues, and this is the reason why we cannot understand them. So the main reason why it's so hard for marketing, this is the environment of today, to understand millennials, is that they seem really like us. They use mobile phones, you know, internet, connected television. They have today a connected life like every one of us. But you know, we know that they are very, very different. There is something that is struggling a little bit. But we know them, and the purpose of this speech is to share what we already know about millennials and try to stimulate you about what we can do in order to better understand them, a better dialogue with them. But we know them. This is an employee of Whirlpool, probably after the first presentation ever with a big boss, and after 6 hours working, they are just destroyed. And this is probably 5 minutes before coming here in Vero. And they are very social. They are very social. So social that they don't speak each other. They are always connected, right? They use mobile phones, tablets, everything but the mouth. They are selfies. They are really obsessed about selfie. They do selfie in every single dangerous situation, and they are inattentive. And this is something that is making us really, really crazy, right? As marketeers, we cannot get their attention. They are inattentive. They are slickers. They are tired, always tired. But the thing for which we really, really find hard to work for them or with them is that they are not loyal. We grown up in an area, generation X or baby boomers, where we made specific choices. We were for Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. We made choices. Now they use both brands, always, switching from one to the other. This is really a pain for us as a marketeer. And what we really find hard to accept is that they joke with us. They joke with us. With our creatives, with our advertising, they take the advertising, they repost it in YouTube with their, with their jokes. And this is what we really find hard to accept. And they are really, really unpredictable. This is what happened just a few months ago in the Brexit situation. The day after Brexit, they went, all of them, to the square saying, we are against this. But the day before, they went not voting. So they are really, really, really strange. For us, the life was really, really simple, linear in a sense, and we really find hard to understand them. And this is the reason why of this speech of today. So we try to share what we know actually about millennials and try to meet them on a more deep level. So their values, what they believe, that is actually what the marketing always is trying to find. So let's start with numbers. Those are the figures for the worst country globally, which is Italy, where the penetration of millennials is the lowest globally. So Japan has an oldest kind of average of the population, but Italy, unfortunately, has the lowest penetration of millennials and Generation Z. We put them together for a second, and even if the percentage is not high, 25%, it's quite a relevant generation for our country as well. So it's really the first mistake we always do is when we compare younger versus non-younger. But if we want to target generations, which is targeting clear set of values, we have to be more careful in understanding the weight of the things. So 25% Generation Y, so-called Millennials, or Generation Z, so-called Centennials now. And if you compare 25 with 23, which is the X generation, or even baby boomers, 27%, you start understanding how relevant they are, even in a country like Italy. But if you take the top 10 countries in terms of wealth, USA 34% is the most important living generation ever, 34%. China 54%. And let me just give you a flavor of the money behind these numbers. The 40% of the Chinese luxury purchases, is made of millennials, by millennials. So it's really, really huge. But the reason why they are so different is not just because they are younger than us. They are different from any younger in the past. So if you follow me and you accept this, we should move the understanding of this group of people from a demographic kind of understanding to a generational understanding. And everything was born here. So if you come back to the years when those people were young, really young, teenagers, this is a very peculiar person for each of us. When you are a teenager, you start to build your own personality, your own identity, your own set of values, your own everything. So if you come back to those years, you go back in a specific moment of time when all the social media, what we call today social media, actually started. So between 2004 and 2008, 9, everything started. And they were so young, they were so in the middle of their growth, that the disconnected environment impacted their set of values and the way they see actually the things in front of them. So this is the first thing that I would share with you today. So being millennial is not just an age break. Being millennial is growing up in this particular environment. And people ask me how millennials are different from one country to another. Of course, the disposable income can be different, percentages can be different, but in terms of values, they are so similar because of this. Because Facebook exploded in the same year, probably a few months from one country to another, in all the globe. It was Facebook for the Western countries, it was other platform for other countries, but this is where we put the attention on. So if you feel that you cannot really get the point with the millennial, it's not because they are just younger, it's because they grown up in a very different environment. Think about, for example, one of the way we establish our identity is to experiment ourselves in different environments. We did it, Every one of us made a little bit of, the expert in one situation or the nice person in another situation, and so on and so forth. In this way, you build up your own identity. And doing this with a nickname, with hundreds of people and possibilities, made potentially this target really, really interesting. We have a lot of opinions about millennials. People love it, people hate it. There are a lot of stereotypes. If you Google millennial today, you have, lot actually of information, but we are always driven by our stereotypes. For example, when people like millennials, they like them because they are influential, they are innovative, and they are communicative, meaning that they will be the first to welcome your innovation, for example. They will influence the purchase, even in such a old categories like, for example, automotive. Today, US is targeting Generation Z for the automotive brands. But the reason why millennials are really so important for us, for our companies, in terms of HR, for example, for our brands, for our marketing, for our government, and for every single person in this globe, is not because of the numbers, but it is because they are the nearest view of the future we have. So there can be a lot or a few, but if you practice with them, if you observe them, you start a journey to a better marketing. So no matter if they are now 20, 15, 50% of your target, of your consumption target, your purchase target. But the recommendation is to consider them as a window to the next future, because they are like what we will be in a few years, 5, 10 years maximum. We will be all more like a millennial than what we are today. And this is why at Kantar, recognizing this, the main question was, what can we learn? What can we get from millennials? And we launched a steering committee. So the board at Kantar gave them, there are a few, it's around 10 people, some specific responsibility in giving us back what is the vision of the company, where the competition will be in 5 years' time, and proactively giving the board some specific direction in where putting investments. So it's a steering committee. The board is not made of millennials, of course, but this is a responsibility. How can we as a company are organized in order for them to really impact the way we prepare to the future? Because the future will be much different than the past, and they grown up in a very different environment, as I told you before. First, they grown up without the concept of time. Everything changes dramatically after 1 second. If you Google something now, you will not find the same page after 1 second. And also the past is coming back after a few likes. So they are really free from this concept of time. The time for them is nothing that is, going. The time is instantly coming. The past, the future, today. Imagine when they actually take pictures. When they take pictures, they are more in the past than in the present. They consider the moment like, already passed away. So this is something that we should take into consideration. Their mind also grown up without the concept of space. The space in terms of distance of kilometers and place is nothing that they can even understand. They can move from one country to another with $5 using Ryanair. They can speak with another person without the need to learn a language. They use other kind of languages, emoji, or even helped by Google Translator. So the space for them is nothing that represents the way of thinking. And think, for example, about you, about your way to manage content, plannings among regions. So they are part of this, and the relevance they have is not because of the closeness of the topic of the territory. The relevance is something that probably is happening in the other side of the world. They have no limits in communication. They can communicate in every single moment with every possibility. They have using smartphone, tablet, on the move, and so on and so forth, and they don't care about nothing of authority, power, or other people. So the first thing they do when they meet the poppies is selfie, of course. And then this is really, really huge, important. I'm sure you are all already kind of understanding this sharing economy thing, because this is really impacting your category hugely. But millennials are the reason why of those new economical paradigms that are coming. So they are interested in the use of the product, not in the possession of the property. And this is probably something that you really are thinking about. But we have a solution. We have a solution. We try to, start from all the, those values, and we collected a set of values, which is the way that we can use to understand millennials and to dialogue with them. We call it style. So every single behavior they have is social, transparent, yet now and immediate. It's all about freedom and experience. We call it style, and what we say is that if we have the same style of the millennials, we can engage with them, or at least we can start understanding. So, for example, every single act is a social act. So, for example, imagine about marketing. We spend months and months and meetings in trying to put into 30 seconds all the contents we can. But actually, these contents live outside those 30 seconds. So is the advertising a little film, or is more an occasion you provide millennials for the sharing? It's more provocating an action, or it's more a film to enjoy. So every single thing they do is aimed to build up in a network, to be shared, and to be an occasion to collaborate with others. They grown up in an environment where everything should be ranked via a like, via a star, via a comment. It's nothing. It's not a judgmental. It's just a reaction of something. So this is the reason why growing up in this in this environment, they really learned how to establish relationship based on trust. Because I'm supposed to be ranked in everything I do, and I rank everything I see. So the communication should be aimed to be dialoguing, open to evaluation, and really based on trust. And you all know perfectly the reason why YouTubers, Instagrammers are so relevant for them. They are just like they are. And this is what has changed dramatically in marketing. We, as a generation Z, we grown up in this idea that the brand should be aspirational, should be something that could lead my progression in life. For millennials, brands should be like us. They have to talk with us, have with us a peer-to-peer relationship, even recognizing that we have a lot to tell, a lot to give that back in terms of value. This is the area of Yet&Now, so everything for them is immediate. We have to organize ourselves to be really reactive into what's happening outside, and also, again, if I can, put you in the way you organize the advertising, for example. How much your advertising is really responding what's trendy topic now in the moment, if you spend 6 months in developing the perfect advertising. And then the liberty, so accessibility, variety, escapism, they are not disloyal because it's a dogma for them. They just want to try, retry, and evaluate every single relationship. And then the experience. They've grown up in an environment where they understood the things through the experience of others. So internet is not the world of the information. Internet is the world of the opinions, the subjectivity, the individual experience. So this is why they always try to make a choice based on single individual experience of others. And then what is about with our Generation Z? So you can define a generation through, three elements: age, same age. Second is that they were exposed to a technological, economical, social, cultural kind of events. And the third is that they share the same set of values. Okay. So when we talk about Generation Z, we should be a little bit, not that ready to think about them as a new generation because they are really too young for, sharing the view of the future. But there is something that we recognize are part of the same kind of mode. So Generation Z for us more a post-millennial kind of generation than a generation itself, or at least we have to wait a little bit. And we know that they are more balanced, for example, between the virtual and the real world. They understood, thanks to the millennial kind of ideal world, when you use online, when you use offline, what to put on Facebook, and why they should use, for example, Snapchat, for example. Snapchat is so popular in this generation because they really want to have a space where they can be really spontaneous and not, filtering, re-editing before posting. So the social attitude of the millennials in the Generation Z is more on the grouping, little groups. WhatsApp, for example, is another huge platform for them. Then the trust, the transparency for them is being really pragmatic. So if you want to engage with millennial, you can talk with, of big values, sharing, collaboration with them. You should be more pragmatic and, identifying from the very beginning of the relationship what they have back from the relationship. They want to be updating on everything because they know that everything is changing so fast that the only choice they have is to be in the wave of what's happening. The freedom, the liberty for them is this tension to make the difference, to stand for something, and then very important for brands like yours, the experience is for them has a different meaning, which is the need to learn. So there is a huge opportunity for brands here that wants to engage with millennials and especially with even the younger generations like Generation Z, when a brand, a leader share the know-how, how to do things, how to Okay, so if you want to, to understand the way we should talk with millennials, we probably should also go back to, the past and understanding what actually has changed dramatically. I'm not I've been sharing with you all the slides, but you see the set of values from, this positive. If you go back when this generation was young, you go back to the 50s, okay? Very positive moments. So they are really idealistic, positive. They think about tomorrow. They want to start everything they have really a kind of specific mindset of doing, and they talk about we. Generation X, most skeptical, they suspended the judgment of everything. We, because I'm of this generation, we were likely suspended into a coming war between US and Russia that never comes, or probably will come in a second, but you never know. But it's a completely different mentality, while millennials or centennials are pragmatic, realistic. The time frame is always, they look for conditions in terms of what the brand can give you. And this is what the implications are for the brands. So the best brands they think are brands that provide experimentation, that allow to create, that foster connection and emotional fit, that stimulate consciousness, that represent the growth, and that promise development and training. So I cannot, spend much time on this slide, and I'm more than happy to, interact with you at the end. But the idea is that if we are, working in the HR function, if we are working in marketing, if you are working in R&D, if you are working in, general management in your company, probably those new values can tell you something. So the question is, which is your style? So, ads, social, are your communication designed to be shared, or your communication is shared to be enjoyed in a sofa? Secondly, the T, are you generally open to be ranked and co-create, or your website is just, a maquillage of a relationship you really don't want? Are you able to react to trending topics with your, with your communications, or you plan sitting in your rooms despite what's happening outside? What is relevant for millennials today is the planning you should work on. Are you giving choices, or you really forcing them to participate to your program? And are you entertaining? Are you giving them the opportunity to really be immersed into your brand? Because if not, of course, they click fast and click often. So this is a drama for the media industry. If we give them the opportunity to skip in 8 seconds, they will skip in 8 seconds. If you give them the opportunity to skip in 6 seconds, will be in 6 seconds. So this is the world we are in. And the number of people that are using ad blocking systems in all the countries is getting really high for those people. So half of this generation already installed an ad blocking. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that they don't want us to communicate with them, because they love us, they love our brand, they love our products, and in a lot of cases they love also our advertising. But what they are asking is, what is the value for me? What is the value? We know that in a few years' time, people will be asking us money back for the data they share. But we have another option, which is giving them another value, which is entertaining, if you like, which is a service, which is a discount, your choice, and probably will be all of this. But this is not, because, and this is really a stereotype that agencies are telling around. They are not against brand. They are not against advertising overall, okay? They are just, they have just no time to follow what's not interesting. And they want to take part and decide. So, and this is a tricky balance each of us have to find in the relationship with millennials. So, in the last five years time, probably a lot and too much people used to tell you that the relationship between brands and millennials and people should have been changed dramatically in this. I'm not that sure. Millennials want the brand to play a role, to give value, to establish a leadership on what the brand can do, know to do, and it's not a matter of being against logos. Okay, so let me give you some example. So are we in time? Let me give you some example because it's not by book. People are starting the journey. There are a lot of fails, but there are a lot of good cases. For example, the reason why Nike established a new relationship with millennials in the last year was because they gave millennials the opportunity to build a new community around the passion. This is what is happening in every park of the big cities when people go and consider the individualistic kind of sport more with a new sense of community. The app runner is really popular. And then, for example, other experiment like 7-Eleven in Indonesia. 7-Eleven is a store, okay? And they built up around the store new places where millennials can spend time eating, drinking, playing music. So this is the way we should reconstruct the idea around our business. Transparency. Gap dress normal was really, really effective on millennials, less on other targets, because of the reason I told you about the generation. But because they focused on this idea that is really relevant for millennials, that they don't want to be special always. So dress normally is just going back to what's really relevant. And I love these of Domino's pizza. You know this. Our pizza sucks. They told it. It's full of negative buzz around their pizza. That they say, okay, guys, you are right. Sorry for that. You are absolutely right. And we rebuild everything from scratch, from the receipt, from the way we deliver the product. Transparency. Then the Yet&Now or immediate kind of reaction. The success around Zipcar, Spotify, Uber, Velocity are just an example of this need to have things delivered right now, in the moment, wherever I am. So think about the actual service your product are delivering, not just the functional service, and how these can be delivered in the moment when the needs happen. It has, of course, a tremendous impact in terms of media, of course, but it's not just media, it's also about product. And the other, probably you are aware about, those even funny posts by Oreo, by McDonald's, when they just wait for the drama to post something really, really crazy. And a very good example here, coming from Italy, here in Italy, is what made Ceres. And they really don't lose the time to interpret with their own values and their own way what's happening outside. This is what is really relevant. You can do it using Twitter or whatever you like, but the fact is, what is your interpretation of what's happening outside that comes from millennials? And then the Liberty, Red Bull, they focus all the communication on the sense of freedom they can give, even to the more extreme sports. And I'm sure you know that Red Bull today is also a publisher. So they found around this a new source of business. And I love this from Burger King in the day of peace. They said they've asked McDonald's through their social channels, resonated among millennials, to join the ingredients of the two icons from Burger King and McDonald's. This is what really was effective, giving back a new reputation among millennials. And then you experience. I can't spend one single word on what Apple is doing, about everything as a consumer or as a marketeer. Our obsession on experience, from the very first time you enter their website till the moment you receive even the album of photos you print out to the products, to the call center. And another good example is Airbnb. When you connect to Airbnb the first moment, you are connecting with the journey you will be doing, which is a journey on experience. So what we, and I'm closing now, what are you bringing home or to your office? Mind your stereotypes. So the only problem we have with millennials is that apparently they seem really, really similar to us because they use the same smartphone, because they behave the same. But in terms of values, in terms of reasons why of those behaviors, they are really, really different. So be careful with stereotype in one sense or even to the other. So I've seen a lot of exercises when millennials coming into the board of director destroying the company in a few months. And then the second is millennials share the same set of values globally, but for marketing purposes we have to segment. So when it comes to marketing activations, we cannot say that there are millennials. There are a lot of millennials with different attitudes, with different subset of values, with different opportunities we have that we can classify. And coming back with the things that are impacting our job as well, when we receive a brief around millennials, we know that we have to change dramatically in the way we even think and we design the methodology of the research. So this was the case of Jerez, and the first thing was we challenged the brief. So with the Millennial Lab, we gave them the brief, and the millennials said, are we sure that millennials should be the target for Ceres, for example? So those simple questions like that. And the reason why we won this was because of all of those challenges, and the research should be more immersive, more observing than asking, using of course digital, but not because it's fun, because digital allows millennials to really express themselves. Thank you.